Dubai saw about 1 month's worth of UK rain in one day.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Forster, news editor here at The National, and thank you for joining me for another episode of A Closer Look. Now, it was a week that UAE residents will not soon forget. The biggest storm in the country's history swept through the Emirates on Tuesday the 16th, leaving behind much flooding and damage. Now, despite the fact that most of the country is now more or less back to normal, there are some areas where evidence of the storm remains. In order to talk to us a little bit more about this, we've got our communities editor, Ramola, Talwar, Badam. Ramola, thank you for coming in. First of all, for people, can you just recap exactly what happened that day? Because we all know it was a lot of rain. Some people might still not know just how much it was.
So, can you imagine, on a single day, Dubai recorded 142 millimeters of rain on one day, on Tuesday. In parts of Al-Ain, it went up to 254 millimeters of rain. To just put this in context, the UK has experienced the wettest winter ever. And that means there was rainfall of about 445 millimeters, but that was over a period of 4 months.
Okay.
Whereas this was 142 millimeters in a single day. And what one of my colleagues, when he spoke to the weather forecaster here in the UAE, he spoke about how the warm and humid air from the Arabian Sea, when it kind of clashed with the cold air coming in from the north, is when this instability kind of worked its way into the extreme rainfall. And like you know, Sarah, all of us have experienced this on Tuesday, is that the rain came in waves. It was the first wave in the morning, then there was it kind of subsided for a bit. Then in the afternoon, it abated again there was a period of quiet, and then it hit us again in the evening. So, that much of rain, the roads couldn't take it, the buildings couldn't take it. And that's why so many of the roads just turned into rivers.
So basically, I mean, what you're saying there, to put it into context, is one of the rainiest months that the UK has had. The UAE saw, like Dubai saw about 1 month's worth of UK rain in one day, more or less. And that is, I mean, we've said this before, I mean, no country in the world could handle that and just be on its merry way the next day. Like, there was bound to be devastation, which there was. There's been lots of pictures of, roads turned into rivers and car parks, underground car parks just full of water. Now, let's talk about the cleanup effort. There have been various initiatives and whatnot being put on by the government, one of which you wrote about, if you want to tell us a bit more about that.
So what the government has, Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince of Dubai, has instructed both the developers as well as management companies, and said that it is that all residents who've been affected by the floods, citizens as well as residents of the UAE, should be moved to safer places. They should get food in places where they are unable to reach food and supplies. There should be pest control services for later. They should also be able to monitor the damage that has been caused right through the insurance period. And cleanup services also should be available when they go back into their houses, and all this free of charge. And on the roads you can see hundreds of these trucks coming in with these huge pipes trying to pump out the water. So you see that in a lot of the communities here, but in places like Sharjah and Ajman and in some communities in Dubai, the pain for the residents continues, because there is flooding in the basements where the basements are flooded with water, so then the water pumps don't work, the electrical units don't work. So I guess they're still dealing with helping people.
Yeah, I mean, these natural disasters, they come in waves, There is the initial wave during the actual storm, when unfortunately people did lose their lives. 4 people lost their lives during this storm. And then there's the sort of second phase where people are dealing with elevated floodwater and, loss of property and everything. And then there's the third phase, which is just trying to get your life back to normal. Now, I should stress, of course, that large parts of the country are 100% back to normal. I mean, for many people, myself included, there's absolutely no evidence of the storm ever happening. And I consider myself to be one of the very lucky ones. And as you say, unfortunately, some people still need help. They still need help with access to food and medicine and whatnot. But as you say, government initiatives are in place to help people in those. So as you say, Sheikh Hamdan issued this notice to developers and management companies. I know in Sharjah there is a special phone number that you can call and contact if you need help. So that's on the government side, but I know that the UAE is known for many things, but the generosity of its residents is definitely one of them. And you've been speaking to some people who have been out and helping those in need. Tell me a bit about them.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how the community kind of comes together. And this happened, immediately after the rains here. Like you said, most people thought the next day it was bright sunshine, so everything's returned to normal. But that's when people actually felt the aftermath of the storm. So there were these groups that formed where they, created these Google Sheets with constant updates about roads that were closed, road networks that were opened, where people could go to get help. The actual contact numbers with people's information about exactly what they needed, whether it was food, water, medicines, baby formula, and also contacts of people who could provide the help. So there was this one case of a mother in Sharjah, 2 young children who needed help, and another person who was staying 2 kilometers away from her, he saw the message and realized he could go and offer help. So there are community groups who are in dinghies and inflatable boats reaching aid to people who still need assistance. So it just shows how people, come together at a time like this, and that's, like you said, what the UAE is known for.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we live in the digital age now, so videos of what's been happening have just been circling the web. And there have been a number of videos of not just, people rescuing other people in cars that have been stuck in floodwater, but also we have to remember there are a lot of animals caught up in this natural disaster, and people certainly went out of their way to help them as well.
Yeah, I think apart from the medics who worked overtime, there were also stories about how the vets were working like 42 hours at a stretch. And there were videos of how cats, dogs, strays were helped by people like strangers on the road who just helped them. So yeah.
And there was a Dubai police video, I think, that was very popular, of a poor cat clinging to a door handle, a car door handle, that they went and rescued. So it is important to remember every soul when natural disasters happen. Now, it's a difficult question. We are literally still reeling from the storm that just happened. However, going forward, Ramola, is there a way to avoid this happening again?
So the government has already put in measures in place. They've talked about how the infrastructure will be beefed up further. The roads are going to have a complete makeover with the drainage improved on either side of the motorways as well. So those steps are already in. But I guess as residents, what we could do is speak to the management associations, to the developers, and make sure that the drains around the community are regularly cleaned. We need to, I guess, ensure things like when a storm happens, or when we have extreme weather like this, you prepare for it. If there is a warning in advance, that you prepare for it by making sure that everything is cleared and cleaned as much as you can, because most of this, you cannot account for.
As always, preparation is key. All right, thank you, Ramola. Well, that's it for this week's episode of A Closer Look. Thank you so much for joining us right here in the Nationals newsroom. Don't forget, if you'd like to see any of our previous episodes, they are all on our YouTube channel.